Welcome to the Power Hour with Becoming Truly Liberated. We come to you every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central to encourage and support women to take some time together to build a community and a safe place to ponder who we are, what we're created for, and to celebrate each other during a time when division is at a high. We want you to know that you're valuable in this world and to this world. Hi, I'm your host, Janet Taylor, founder of Becoming Truly Liberated and of Become. This is the fourth week of our relaunch, and I continue to value and appreciate the support of so many as I learn all the details and nuances, as well as the frustrations that come with creating a weekly podcast with guests from not only all over the U.S., but also around the world. So no one right now I'm more appreciative of than Rita Hernandez with Inspiration for Life. Her advice and expertise and friendship is invaluable as she talks me through each week. So we're in week 4 of a 7-week series called Lies Women Believe. And it is my honor to come again this week with incredible stories of 3 women who have all learned about getting unstuck from going through the motions in their lives, not recognizing for a long time that their personal struggles had deep roots. So they've all learned to confront their former truths, to make a mindset shift to their new truths. God takes chaos and brings things into order. So if you're feeling chaotic, frazzled, overextended, overwhelmed, or if shame and condemnation from lack of discipline, or perhaps from cultural or spiritual traditions, rob you of the peace that you always hear promised, then I encourage you to take the time tonight for yourself to listen to Patricia Allbritton from Georgia, Tina Hughes from London, and Theresa Horne from Michigan, as they share their stories of lies they believed and how they got set free. If you're listening on Inspiration for Life Radio, I want to also invite you to join the conversation later in the discussion group on our Facebook page, Becoming Truly Liberated. And as always, please pray for our guests as they continue their journey to be truly liberated and all that means to them, their families, and their community. So here we go. This interview is brought to you by GoX Apparel. You make a difference in the lives of children and families around the world every time you put on a GoX tee. Purchase with purpose. That matters. Okay, thank you so much for joining us for this segment of Becoming Truly Liberated. Today I want to welcome and introduce you to Patricia Allbritton. She is a coach and substitute teacher. She's a Troops to Teacher selectee, a Navy veteran, a mother, an author, and most of all, she says she's saved by the grace of God. So welcome, Patricia, to the Empower Hour. Tell us a little bit more about you. Tell us where you're from and what you're up to.
Oh, hi. I'm a native New Yorker. I presently live in Valdosta, Georgia. I'm a Navy veteran, as you mentioned. I joined the Navy when I was 17, and I'm now 55 years old, so I have a lot of experience under my belt.
Yeah, I'm 55 too. It's a great year. Lots of freedom. Lots of freedom once you, if anybody's hovering at 40, let me tell you, just embrace it. Because from there on, it's like, yes, this is incredible. I love being older. So I appreciate you coming on today. Something that you posted on Facebook maybe kind of reach out to you and say, so, hey, I think your story might resonate with some of our listeners. Our topic right now is lies women believe. And so tell me a little bit about lies that you've believed in the past, or something that you've believed in the past that you found out was not true.
Sticks and stones may hurt your bones, but words will never harm you, or, something like that. That nursery rhyme, I found out that nursery rhyme wasn't true, because words can hurt, and it diminishes your self-esteem.
Yes,
And so
absolutely.
I learned that you have to be careful of the words that are spoken to you and that you speak to yourself.
Yes, yes, that is very true. Very, very true. A lot of things that we say flippantly are actually end up being very harmful. I have a very sarcastic tongue. And so that is something that God has really been working on for a long time, but more so in recent years. And that, I think I'm just being silly, and other people are taking what I'm saying very seriously. And so understanding where the other person's coming from is super important. So is that the biggest lie that you've believed?
And then the other I had believed, and this is according to my faith, I was, when I wanted to take this person, I was brought up Catholic. So when I was brought up Catholic, personally, I was told that I didn't have to worry about um, how my eternal life would end up, because if I didn't choose Jesus, that someone could, when I die, someone else could, I guess, pray me into heaven. And
Mm,
so later on, what I personally learned by the visit of the Holy Spirit is I have to make the choice how I'm
yes.
going to live. Not to knock
Yeah.
down any religion, but that's what I was brought up as, and so that's why I had mentioned it as so. But we have to choose how we live, and that was one personal lie that I had learned to break. That I had to choose God for myself, and then I had to live the life that I be talking about, that I sing about, and that I preach about.
Yeah, that is a huge, huge lie. Catholicism is not the only religion. I've actually not heard that specifically about Catholicism, but I have heard about other religions, that someone can kind of get you out of purgatory, or
Right.
can claim you into the heaven, into the heavenlies. And so I think even in the Christian church, we gloss over the holiness and the sanctification. It's just kind of fire insurance. Well, just say this prayer and you're going to heaven. That's not
Yes.
that's not really true. That's not really true. You got to really, it's got to be a real relationship. It's not not just words. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
think that is a huge, huge lie. So tell me about an instance, or tell me which one of those, or another one, that when you learned it really impacted your life. It really changed the trajectory of your life. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, the last thing that I mentioned, once I realized that I had to choose life in Christ and to walk and talk and to be about His business, I um, I started to seek the kingdom of God, to really understand what's the purpose, not what other people say, but what God says to me, for me, so about our business. And so while I was in the military, at first, when I had got saved when I was in the military, I was wanted to get out because I got saved. And He said, I saved you for a time such as this, so
Mm,
that you can reach out to your fellow servicemen and women.
wow.
And from that day on, I was in the Navy 26 years. So from that time on, I've been touching lives, and lives have been touching me.
Wow. That's great. So tell us one of those times. Tell us something because of that choice. Just give us one instance, kind of expound on that.
Hmm. I guess when I was diagnosed with cancer last year, and I had to take on the word of healing for myself, not
Mm,
just not just repeating a cliche that was true in the word, but I had to put on that word of healing. And as I did, one of my coaches, she had spoke life into me as far as giving me peace of mind, and she had quoted this and told me when I was diagnosed with the cancer, um, I was, I guess, dealing with what stage I was in, because that's always the fear when people are diagnosed with cancer. They want to know what stage they're in.
Right.
And this
How bad is it?
one particular coach had told me, don't worry about the stage. She said that you are in the healing stage. And so
Wow.
once she had told me that, I caught hope, and, and and then I even had got a shirt that had said the healing stage, and I started, I guess what you want to say, coupling up with um, people who would speak life to me. I got the doubters away, and I found out at the end that I had stage 1 cancer,
Mm.
breast cancer, and I didn't have to do chemo. I didn't have to do radiation. All I had to do was just, take tamoxifen. But I just praise God for, um, you know, I guess putting on the words of healing in my spirit so that it to this day.
Wow, that is great. That is great. I think not only cancer, but I think a lot of us just take the diagnosis and um, don't look for the healing piece of that. So is that the shirt that you have on now? I'm in the healing stage. I see the
Yes,
very top of it.
yes, yes.
Great. I love it. I love it.
Uh-huh.
And so part of what you do now, does it also involve that health healing or speaking the word into other people that have dealt with cancer or have dealt with
Yes,
other things like that? Tell us
yes.
about that. What are you involved in now based on that?
Well, my business or ministry, as you can say, is both. It's called Turning Your Wounds into Wisdom. And so the healing piece of that is in life, we go through a whole lot of life happen moments. And in going through the life happen moments, you can either learn from it or you can sit there and wallow in what you're going through. And so I teach others that why don't you learn from what you have been through so you can help someone else along the way. And so basically, I'm a healer. I heal people and bring them to wholeness.
Wow. Okay. So is that through programs? Is that through, do they meet with you locally? Do you do anything? Do you do things online? How do people get in touch with you?
Well, mostly it's, I won't say it's private, but God draws people to me,
Mm.
either by on the internet or either I might be talking to someone and then we just hit on a topic and then um, we start that way. And also, um, I'm in training as a soul care practitioner with Latara Denise. You might know her. She's part of KDE. Um,
Yes.
but and so that's how I reach out to my people. It's basically on casual talking, and if they look at my websites and stuff, they go, wow, I feel a need to reach out to her. And then we go from there.
So do you think it's more, is it more inner healing or is it more physical healing or is it both?
It's inner healing because I believe all healing begins from the inside out.
Sure.
It's a mindset. It depends on how you were brought up, because a lot of things you have to unlearn. Because when you brought up, you taught to live this way and to learn and to live another way. And so once God comes in your life, and then once you find out what's best for you, then after you have to unlearn a lot of stuff so that you can walk the way God would have you to walk for you.
Right, right. And that is, yes, that is why God is pulling people like you and other people that are like-minded, because we all have that same vision. We have different stories, but we have the same vision. We have the same experience that God is working on our insides to change the lies and change the things that have been wounded, so that we can reach out and heal other people, he can heal other people through our words, through our testimony. And I am not to the point where I consider myself a healer, but I know that the words that God has given me has helped women. And even a young man reached out to me the other day after one of these, after a posting that I had, and I was ministering to him, and just his understanding of God, so yeah, I think he just draws, the Holy Spirit just draws us to that and draws us to that space. So I love that. So tell us what your website is and how people can find you.
Okay, it's www.coverupministry.info.
Cover Up?
Yes, Cover Up Ministry, COVERUP Ministry, MINISTRY.info.
Okay, great. Covered Up in Ministry. So I thank you so much, Patricia, for sharing your story. Both of those things that you talked about are in different ends of the healing ministry. Words that do hurt us, but also physical, the physical cancers or the other illnesses that come upon us in this fall, and how we can be healed from them. So I thank you so much for your obedience. I thank you so much for joining us and sharing more about what you do. I know this will resonate with someone, because that's what the Holy Spirit does, is just, allows us to draw other people together. So again, I thank you so much for joining us. It's more information will be right after this. We'll have a little information on the video about how you can reach Patricia. So I thank you so much for joining us for this time in Becoming Truly Liberated Empower Hour. We want to encourage you to join us there at Facebook on Becoming Truly Liberated, where we will continue to have conversation around that, sharing the stories and sharing about how other women have overcome lies that they have believed in their lives in order to find freedom in Christ. Thanks so much. God bless y'all. This interview was brought to you by Becoming Truly Liberated. Join us today at Becoming Truly Liberated on Facebook. Created to guide a woman in understanding why her life, story, and voice are vital for such a time as this. Confident, empowered, valued, truly liberated. Thank you so much for joining us again for another session of the Empower Hour with Becoming Truly Liberated. Tonight, I am so happy. I want to welcome and introduce you to Tina Hughes, all the way from London to Texas. Woohoo! Tina is an accountability coach. She helps people get more clarity on what it is that they want, work on their mindset and limiting beliefs, and get them to commit and take action. I told her during the practice that I needed her. Her mission is simple: to inspire, educate, and empower women to have fun, become fiercely independent, and use their feminine energy to live a life they truly deserve. So welcome, Tina, to the Empower Hour. Tell us a little bit more about you and what brought you to the podcast tonight.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say a huge, big thank you, Janet. This is an absolute honor and privilege for me to be with you here this evening. So thank you for the opportunity. Well,
Absolutely.
My lovely friend Theresa was telling me about you, and I just thought, what better way, us as women, we just want to get our message out there. And so, yeah, here I am. So, yeah, thank you for that introduction. I don't know if any of you might recognize my accent, but I'm actually originally from South Africa. I have lived in London for the last 20 years, and so this is now my home. And just a little bit about me, because I lived during the apartheid years in South Africa, there was a huge division between obviously the haves and the have-nots, and of course everything was based on the color of our skin. And what I came to learn is, just because being white, a white South African in those days, was perceived as being a privilege, and yet internally I took it and I internalized it as my curse. And as a result, I actually developed these limiting beliefs. I was that person who wanted to change the world. I wanted to change the status quo. So I actually studied to become a teacher so that I could inspire, educate, and empower others. But even that, you know, there was always this subtlety. You were always constantly reminded of how I was privileged. And it was only once when a student once turned to me and said, you know, miss, you're really lucky, because when you go home and go to sleep at night, you sing lullabies to your children. When I go home at night, my lullabies are gunshots. And all I can tell you is, you know, that stuck with me. And little did he know that those gunshots became my thoughts. And, you know, internally, I took it so badly as well, because I so desperately wanted to help the underprivileged, to a point where I saw anybody as having money as being greedy and racist, and I really rejected it. And it's crazy how it starts to, you know, play in your life, and just to the point where, you know, how was I going to save the world without any money? But, you know, that was my intention. And that up until 6 years ago, sadly, my husband and I, we lost our home, we lost everything. And it was only at that point was, you know, often they say, when adversity hits, that was when we grow our strongest. And from that moment, I realized that I had to step up to the mark. I had to take responsibility for my life. I had to stop playing the victim. I don't know if any of you can relate, but part of that limiting belief, I got married at a young age. I was married at 23. And part of that was all about, you know, I was also kind of questioned, you know, by my father. Why was I marrying this man? You know, and I'm like, well, because I love him. Isn't that why you choose to get married? But because of that, my father never felt like my husband was a good provider. And isn't it amazing how that kind of then did play out? So as a result of that, you know, that still stayed with him, and all these limiting beliefs that, you know, when I got married, because my dad said, you know, when you know, the man is the man of the house, and he's the one who takes care of the family, you know, and like,
so much pressure for men.
Absolutely, you know, and that's the lies that we are obviously constantly told. And, you know, as I look back now and, you know, you reflect on your life. So that limiting belief, I obviously, you know, picked up, and then expecting my husband that he would take care of things. And then when things did go badly, well, of course, you know, men also bury their head in the sand, and it's like, what next? But again, you know, I'm so thankful for the things that have happened, because this is what's wanting me to go on a mission and help as many women as I possibly can, to say, do you know what? You are a unique, independent woman, and you have a right to, you know, earn your own money, you know, and be independent. And I'm so passionate about that. You know, that's one of the things I want to teach my daughter as well, don't you? Because society puts all this pressure on us. You know, we're born, you know, go and get a good education, get a good job, you know, do this, do that, go up the career ladder. Then what, suddenly now your life must stop because you're now married and have children. And so many women I find that I meet, you know, just put their lives on hold, don't you? And that's great if that's their choice. But I think it's just so important that they, you know, they find their worth. I think that's what it is. I really want women to, you know, find their passion, because I do honestly believe we've all been given this unique gift, and it's up to us. I think we owe it to the world to share our gifts with everyone else.
Yes,
so that's
absolutely.
in a nutshell, basically. And
so we're completely in alignment. We met earlier this week, and we're just completely in alignment with our thoughts and really some of our story. And so you've hit on several different lies that you believed, just in that. So what now? Which one was really the aha moment, that you know, that's really making a difference for you now, if you could choose one?
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is also appreciating that money is not the root of all evil. That was a huge thing for me. You know, it was my biggest takeaway, and sense, actually, when I had that aha moment, it was, when you earn more money, you can help more people. I'm like, oh, wow, you know, because, yeah, I think, and just knowing that, you know, having money is a good thing, because if you want to do, you know, good in this world, well, we all need money, whether it's through a charity, you know, helping different organizations. Everybody needs money, don't you? You know,
Right.
you need money, you need money to live. So I guess, you know, that for me, that whole mindset shift to say, okay, I can do good as well. When you show people how to earn money, you know, when you do it in an authentic way, you know, you have a vehicle on which to do it. And this is how I now help other women, you know, to find their passion, if it's something that they want to do on the side. So I actually help them start, build and grow their own businesses.
That's great. That's great. And so I've been doing this 21-day intensive kind of Bible study with a small group of women on my Facebook page called Lies Women Believe. And one of the things we're talking about is reading the Bible for yourself and understanding what it really says, not just what people say. And that's one of them is money is the root of all evil. That's not what it says. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. So money is not evil. Greed is evil. It's not that we don't want us to be prosperous. I mean, there's many scriptures that talks about being prosperous. Even with Jesus. I mean, one thing that was kind of an aha moment for me not too long ago was someone was talking about, if Jesus was poor, why did he have an accountant? Why did Judas keep all of his money? Why did he have to have someone be accountable for his money? And Judas skimmed off of it. So he didn't have lack of money, because if someone skims off of my checking account, I'm going to know. But you have to have enough money that you wouldn't even know that money is being skimmed off of it. So it was one of those things that was like, I'm going to have to go back and read things with a different eye, except for the things that we kind of accept. Oh yeah, you know, some scriptures talk about he has no place to lay his head. Well, that is true, but doesn't mean that he was poor.
Exactly. And it's exactly
because he also did ministry and traveled around with 12 men and a bunch of women. So somebody had money.
Yeah. And it is exactly that, isn't it? And that was also one of the things, you know, growing up, where society says, you know, parents were constantly, money doesn't grow on trees. You know, I don't have the money. You know, when my parents got divorced and suddenly I inherited a stepmom and 2 stepsisters, you know, we were constantly told, I don't only have 2 children to support, I now have 4 children. You know, then everything became such an issue. And it's amazing, isn't it, our negative thinking and how, you know, our perception around these things, you know, that we develop, these limiting beliefs, which taints our whole lives, really, unless, you know, once you become aware of it and really acknowledge it and be able to work on it.
Yeah, and so it's just a little twist of that's the other thing that we're studying about is, you know, the enemy of our soul and our peace doesn't give us big whopper lies that are obvious. I mean, we certainly see lots of fake news, to coin a current phrase, and that you can go, well, that is not true. But the enemy doesn't do that. He takes up most of the truth and just twists it just a little bit, like the love of money is evil, or not. I mean, money is evil. No, that's not what it says. So tell us more about how that has changed for you. And what your belief is now. What have you replaced that belief with?
Oh, that's a good question. I think now it's, I look at money. Money is just merely an exchange of value. You know, so like with anything, you know, if somebody gave you, you know, a note of some sort, you know, that's not evil. You know, it's just literally, it's merely something, you know, and it's an exchange of value. So now when I look at things, I look at is, first of all, how can I serve other people? Because I do genuinely believe that business is about giving. It's not about the money. So I never come from that perspective where, oh, you know, I've got to go and make money. No, it's how can I serve the world? How can I give them my gift? And then in exchange for me giving them value, that's when there's an exchange of payment. you know, just to get
Great.
your whole mind about, you know, around, oh, how, you know, why is someone going to pay for my service? But when you know you can help someone and you genuinely are doing it for the love of them, because you're serving them, you know, you're serving them your gift. Now I see, you know, that whole mindset shift, that money is merely an exchange of value.
And do you think it's more difficult for women in that mindset shift?
Yes, I do. Yeah, 100%. I think men, I guess, if they have traditionally, you know, been the breadwinners going out there, I guess, you know, they make their money and that. And I think particularly women, don't we? Because we are so selfless in so many ways, don't we? We put the whole family before ourselves. And yeah, for women, I mean, I was speaking with one of my coaches the other day, and she happened to say to me she had an issue around money, and we were talking about it, you know, where it was coming from. And one of the things she had said to me, she said, my mum has never bought herself anything new ever. She only goes for secondhand things, and my father has the best. And I said, wow, that's interesting. Does your mum not work? You know, thinking maybe because she feels at home, she feels guilty. And she said, no, my mum's always worked, but that's how it's always been. She's never treated herself. And it's that kind of thing. And, you know, it was only when she had that realization, she said, oh my goodness, you know, I'm experiencing the same thing with my son. You know, I go around telling him how we can't afford this or we can't afford that. And so can you see how subtly, as you say, it's kind of passed down? Now, why could her mum buy something new? It wasn't because she wasn't told she wasn't. Obviously, deep down, she didn't think she was worth it. And I'm like, what's that all about? Is that just another lie that, again, you know, women have been told?
Yeah, yeah. And the other side of that is an inflated piece of it, where, you know, some women might overcompensate and spend lots of money that they don't have because of their relationship with money. Still, it's still a relationship with it, and it's skewed just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, great. I really think the work that you're doing is really, really important. So anything else you want to tell our listeners? Anything else you want to talk about as far as lies that women believe, or things that might be encouraging for other women?
You know what? I think that's about it, really. Wow, that was great. Yeah. I just, you know, I really just want to encourage, you know, women out there, please just live your best life. You know, we only have this life. We only have this moment. And I really do want to encourage you to find that gift. So often I think people are stuck in jobs that they don't necessarily enjoy, or, you know, if you can start something on the side, yeah, please really do that. I think you owe it to yourself, because when you can do something that you love, and I generally feel this, you know, every day for me, because I'm finally doing something that I love, and when I'm helping other people, that fills my cup. And so when you do something that you love, you never feel like you ever work a day in your life. And when you can get to that point and know that that's how you can make a living, by helping and transforming other people's lives, what an incredible feeling, you know. And so I just really want to encourage people, please, if anybody ever wants to reach out, do reach out to me. You know, I'd love to have a chat with you. And just know you owe it to yourself. You know, we are all uniquely and beautifully made. And so just go out there, share your message. I think women have got so much to offer. And, you know, just shine your light. I want women to be that pillar, you know, that pillar of strength, and that lighthouse, you know, because we do so many phenomenal things. And yet I think women so often to do something, you know, stop to do something for themselves. And yeah, when you learn to really start to love yourself, then you have so much more to give. You know, I like to encourage people and say, like I often say to people, you know, it's not being selfish. So often we you know, we're taught not to do all these things, you know, don't pat yourself on the back. And yet we need to fill our cups. You know, I love to use the analogy of the you know, the cup and saucer. So when you fill your cup, once you're overflowing, anything that falls into the saucer, that's what you give to the rest. And yet I think so many women are operating in half empty cups. You know, they keep giving, and they don't ever replenish that.
I love that analogy. One, because we don't use saucers very often in the U.S. We're just kind of like big mugging, especially in Texas. Hey, the bigger the better. But I love that analogy, because when you were saying that, what it made me think of is that a lot of women will pour out of their cup into the saucer before it's overflowing. They just keep pouring out of their own cup, and it's not, and then we run on empty, because literally there's, there's nothing more in there. We're doing it for everybody else. Well, I love so much all the things that you said, and I really appreciate all the women that are rising up to at the same time. I mean, I think, not only the Me Too movement, but just, I think the earth is kind of groaning for women to rise up and start doing some healing, not only within ourselves, but just really celebrating each other. So, so you are a coach, and do you do things online, or do you things mostly local there in London?
Yes, no, I do it online as well. So all my coaching calls are all done through Zoom. So pretty much like this. So I can do anything all over the world, really. So, and again, that's the beauty of embracing technology, don't you?
Absolutely.
At times, that was one of my biggest phobias, was social media. It's my goodness. But yet embracing that, I think, again, just with women, we're so used to, putting everyone before ourselves. But when you can really embrace life, and take it on and learn to do it yourself, we just become so much stronger as a result. And I'm all for championing, I think, more and more women nowadays. It's about collaboration. I love to work with many women as possible. It's all about bringing each other up. I don't believe in competition. I believe in collaboration. And the more we lift each other up, the better the world will become. We will change the world one person at a time.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing is recognizing, for me, this is one thing that I'm not struggling through, but walking through right now, is recognizing that everybody's not in the same place. Not, some people are light years ahead, and some people are, kind of still kind of things swirling around them and in confusion, and holding space for them and loving on them and not judging them. Is something that, I have huge expectations of people, probably bigger than they have of themselves. And so, stepping back and holding space for that person and loving on them while they're getting there, I think is something that I'm seeing more and more of in women. And I know I have it for myself, but I think more and more of for women. And I love that. I just love that space. I just love the place that we are right now, as crazy as it is.
And that's so true. I saw a great quote this morning. I was watching someone on LinkedIn, another coach, and he said, it's about meeting people where they're at.
Yes, I say that. I say that often.
That, isn't it? And it was such a good reminder for me, because unfortunately my son had an incident at school yesterday, and his mobile phone was taken away from him. So we had to go into school to go and collect it today. And it was so good. It was just such a reminder for me. Before I went and had the meeting with the head teacher, it was like, okay, Tina, do you remember? Meet him where he's at. Yes, he's done wrong. We have to show him the pitfalls. However, he is only 12, don't you? And it's to meet them where they're at, to show them and say, okay, how can we move forward from this? You've done wrong. You need to apologize, draw a line under it. Now let's move further forward. And
let's move forward. Let's not just stay here.
I think sometimes we can have these expectations for them, can't we? It's like, well, what did you think you were doing? Well, clearly he wasn't thinking, and that's what kids do, and they're there to push boundaries, right?
Absolutely. I have a 2 and 3 year old grandkids living in the house, and so I say that often. It's like, okay, they're 2 and 3.
Yes,
they're just 2 and 3.
Yourself. I know.
Not only do they not listen, but asking them, why did you do that, is crazy. They don't know.
Exactly.
They don't know why they do anything. They're on automatic
Exactly. Yeah. I think teenagers don't either. You just get that grunt.
Yeah. Well, some adults are still there. Some adults are still there too. So, Tina, I really appreciate your time this evening for you and this afternoon for me. Tell us your contact information, how people can get in touch with you. And I will say that after your interview on Facebook and on YouTube, you'll be able to see Tina's contact information, but if you're on Inspiration for Life online radio, you'll need to jot down what she says. Go.
Perfect. Yes. So my name is Tina Hughes, and the surname is spelled Hughes. You can find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook. If you want to email me, you can email me at tina@shewolfmomentum.com. So this is a little group we want to start. So yeah, looking to start a nice Facebook group for any other inspiring women. And yeah, my mobile number will be at the end of the video. So I think the international code +44 7932 622 337. That's me.
Yay! So I hope people reach out to you. And I thank you again so much. Give me just a minute and we're going to say goodnight to our listeners, and we'll be right back with you. So Becoming Truly Liberated is here to support Become. It's a nonprofit that we work with women who've aged out of foster care or have found themselves economically unstable. To find out more about Become, you can find us on Facebook at Become Community. I appreciate you so much, Tina, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Janet, for your time. What a privilege and honor it has been for me this evening. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Kindred spirits. I look forward to just keep knowing you.
Me too. God bless. Thank you. Good night.
This interview is brought to you by Need to Know Smart Card. If you aren't reaching your customers on their cell phones, we need to talk. It's a customizable business card. You can change info like your specials or your programs in the palm of your hand. You can see mine at www.tljanitlyn.com. Need to know when they need to know. So thank you so much for joining us again for this segment of Become Truly Liberated's Empower Hour. We are talking during this segment to Theresa Horne. Theresa is the owner and lead coach of Sister of Strong. As a certified personal trainer with the National Academy of Sports Medicine, a fitness nutrition specialist, and a certified group fitness instructor with the National Exercise Trainers Association, she coaches women to choose joy, to be strong, and to get fit. Her goal is to provide an on-ramp to fitness for all levels of ability. Theresa coaches her clients in creating the habits of total wellness by eliminating barriers to living a healthy lifestyle. So welcome to the Empower Hour, Theresa.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit more about you. Tell us about where you are and other things.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I am in Michigan, and thank you for the intro. It seems so official.
It does. I was tired just saying it. So I'm
so many things.
So good. So educated. That's awesome.
I'm married, and we have 5 sons, ages 24 to 9, and we're here in Michigan. We homeschool our kids, so I've spent many years being a busy mom and homeschooling mom and wife, and about in 2014, 2012, I was approaching 40, and I was, per my doctor's file, morbidly obese. And I was fine. I didn't have any really health issues that I thought about, but I was starting to feel like achy knees, and my grandma and some of my aunts had knee problems as they got older, and I was thinking maybe I should start to do something about this weight. So I started trying to address some of my weight issues. I went on a big box diet. I won't say the name, but I went on a very popular diet, and I was exercising and working with my doctor. I had a really wonderful, supportive doctor, and not seeing any weight loss. And so I was really working hard at that, and I was approaching 40. and really wanted to be able to make a change by that. One of my aunts had told me about, you got to get it off by 40. So I was like, really trying to work and hard. And I felt like I was doing everything right. I felt like the weight should have been coming off. And my doctor was baffled, and she gave me a pamphlet to what she gave me was a stack of research on weight loss surgery. And because she knows I'm kind of a nerd like that, so and I read the research, and I was like, well, the research does say it's great, but I'm not doing that. And so I really thought that weight loss surgery was a cop out, was an easy way out. That's a lie that I was believing. So I prayed about it. Went to a information meeting and decided that's what I wanted to do. That's what got the okay, got a witness that it was okay. And that's what I did. So I had weight loss surgery in 2014, lost 150 pounds. And in that process, learned a lot about myself, a lot about some of the things I was telling myself that just wasn't true. And started to fall in love with exercise and movement, and people started coming to me and asking me questions and asking me for help. So that's how I started helping other people, and then decided, I think this is what I'm supposed to do, and went and got some training, and then opened my business in 2016.
Great. So you allude a little bit to some lies that you started to believe, and that is the topic of this particular segment, is lies women believe. So let's just kind of jump into it. What were some of those lies that you were believing that was holding you back?
Well, I think what the first lie that I was believing is that I was eating healthy. I believe that I was aware of what I was eating, and that I had a pretty healthy diet. And so a diet is what we eat. So when I say diet, I'm just talking about the food that we take into our bodies. And so I believe that it was it was healthy. And what I really came to believe, came to understand, is I was not aware of all the times that I was eating. So, when we think about when we eat, we think about the times we are consciously eating, when we sit down at the table and eat. But there's all these times that we are eating. Sometimes people are eating and they're not aware that they're eating because they're doing it without intention. So we're eating and we're on our cell phone. We're eating while we're driving. We're eating while we're in the kitchen preparing meals, while we're cooking. We're preparing meals for someone else. We're eating while we're cleaning up after other people. All these times when I was actually putting food in my mouth, but I didn't really consider it eating because it wasn't my food, or I hadn't decided to eat it. I hadn't had the intention of eating it, so I didn't register it as eating, but it in fact was food that I was putting in my mouth, right? So, and I had calories, even though it wasn't my chicken McNugget that I, cleaned up
right.
from my son. So
moms do that. It's like, we can't waste that. That's just one left. And yeah,
absolutely. So that I was aware of what I was eating and when I was eating those. That it's a lot of little lies, but really what I decided, or what I figured out, is I had to tell myself the truth about how much I was eating, and that I wasn't just eating because I was physically hungry, that I was eating for other reasons other than physical hunger. Because I think we like to think when you're hungry, you eat. But the fact is, we eat for lots of reasons. We eat because we're sad. We eat because we're happy, and we eat because we're at celebrations. We eat because someone says, hey, I'm not feeling great. Will you come out to lunch with me? We eat then. We eat. Right. There's lots of times when we eat. And whenever we eat, that's energy in our body. So we have to look at it like that. So I think that's one lie that we believe, is we just eat because we're hungry. The big part of that, I think, is if we are eating because, I think we believe the lie that if we're eating for a reason other than hunger, then it's bad, you know?
Yeah.
So then we attach guilt and shame to it, you know?
Right.
We eat for social reasons, and that's okay, because that's what we do, but to be aware of them, you know, not to just lie, oh, I don't eat, you know, just because my friend asked me out. Yeah, you do. You do. So be aware of it, and then you can handle it and manage it, as opposed to lying to yourself about what it is. So, yeah.
So I have a friend, very close friend, who had gastric bypass surgery, and she, you know, she lost a lot of weight. And during that time, I was going through a lot of things. And so I eat. I'm an emotional eater. I recognize that I'm an emotional eater. And there is shame and guilt around with that. But one time she talked about me being her eating friend. And I was like, what? She goes, well, whenever we get together, that's what we do. I mean, we usually eat, even if we go out for coffee, then we end up getting something, or even the coffee, you know. She's like, for me, even the coffee, I have to watch my sugars and watch what I ingest and whatever. And so I was like, I don't think I like being labeled your eating friend. She was like, well, it wasn't meant to be, you know, bad. It's just what we do when we get together. And I was like, well, because there's shame and guilt around poor choices, I didn't like that. Did not like that, being labeled the eating friend. I don't think I'm the eating friend anymore, but I do recognize those poor choices. So what has impacted, what has really changed for you once you started recognizing the truth around food?
Right. So I guess the first thing is I had to recognize the lie. So that process, you know, I knew that if I was successful at losing weight, and I knew that something had to change or I would go back to that. So it was, you know, a process of what is this? What am I doing? How did I get to where I was, and how do I make sure I don't get back there? So what really everything changed, you know. It was a process of figuring out the reasons I was eating, and there are many reasons. So just, you know, kind of picking off what each of those reasons are, you know. So, you know, for me, there would be a time of evening that I would always eat, you know, like 7 to 9 p.m. And that was the most difficult time for me. And it was like, well, what is that? You know, it's so understanding what was the trigger. Was it a habit? You know, were there emotions that were coming up at that time? So taking the time to slow down and figure out what was going on with me that was making me feel like I was hungry, that I feel like that I needed to eat, and then addressing what that was. That's a specific time that, you know, and so those were emotions, you know, so that understanding my emotions and figuring out a way to handle and deal with my emotions was one thing that changed. You know, I had to figure out what the emotion was, because it wasn't always, I think we only think of emotions in a negative sense, you know, like sad or depressed, but there, you know, there are other emotions. We have a wide variety of emotions, you know, we have all types of colors. So it could be, you know, for me, it was actually tired. When I got tired, I would feel, I'd feel tired, but I feel like you can't go to bed yet. It's 7 o'clock, you know, you know, that'd be lazy to go to bed at 7. So instead of resting, I would eat. So that was, for me, that was huge. So just that realization of giving myself the permission to understand and figure out what the emotions were. So that's changed. Just be emotional awareness is a big change for me.
And so also I heard the other lie that you just said, we can't just rest. I mean, that is something that I have come to embrace my nap time. I take a power nap because I'm going all the time. I mean, I care for my mother, my oldest daughter and her children. So my grandchildren are living with me right now when I'm doing business. I mean, I'm out late or doing a lot of things. And so in the middle of the day, if I'm feeling fatigued, instead of getting a Snickers to keep driving through, it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It's something I talked to my mom about too. She'll get up at 9:30 and she's like, "Oh, I'm so lazy." I'm like, "I think you were tired."
Right.
If your body didn't wake up till 9:30, it's because your body needed to sleep until 9:30. I mean, it's not like you're still just laying there.
Right.
So I have a phone call coming in. I need to pop that off. Wasn't thinking about that, using my phone. So anyway, so those are great. Those are great. I think a lot of lies creep into other lies as you're trying to go through and diving deep into that. So is that part of what your coaching is? Is that part of, besides just the nutrition, do you coach women through working through some of those issues? Is that a little bit of what you do now?
It is. So I started off with the personal training. That's what so I love working out. I really enjoy it. And I really enjoy getting women to be able to lift weights. So just coming into your physical strength is very empowering for women. And so that's one thing. And it's also gaining physical strength it just makes good sense, right? We're all getting older as we age, we lose muscle mass, and just to be able to be independent and move our bodies and serve God, because if we can't physically move around, our service is hampered. So to be able to be physically strong and understand how your body works, that's where it really began. And what a lot of people that come to me, they would actually want to lose weight. And in that process, we would figure out what was the driving force behind that. Why do we want to lose weight? And so it started out with physical training, and it would usually end up being there would be some type of emotional reason that we wanted to lose weight, and that's not about the weight. It's not about the weight at all. It's about some type of other, body image or a need to be perfect or something like that. And so that led me to more emotional coaching. So I'm actually a certified soul care provider now with Latara and Latara Venice. And
Great.
So I do a complete lifestyle coaching thing, because it's all our habits. It all comes back to our habits, the habits of how we move, the habits of when we worship, the habits of how much time we spend with God. Those are all habits, and the sum total of our habits that's who we are. So when we want to make a change, we need to look at the things we do every day. It's the small, repetitive impacts that has the big impact of the things we do every day. I was just talking the other day about, it's not about joining the gym and going, I went to the gym 5 times this week, and then you go 3 times, and it's about going once a week, 6 months in a row. It's when you do something consistently, it doesn't need to be big, but if you can be consistent, you'll see the change.
Yeah. So God kind of downloaded a little 21-day devotional, I guess, that I've put out there for women who want to start that discipline, and just to come alongside them in groups, small groups, because just that, even praying, you have to start. You can't, I have a friend that prays for an hour. I can't do that. Well, no, it's just exercising that same muscle. It's a discipline. How do I walk through joy? How do I have joy even though, it looks like everything's falling around me? That's a discipline. As you were saying, the worship and that whole piece of it. And so that is, that piece has really, God has continued to work with me too. And that is, another one of the lies that, I think women in the church in general, believe that, lifting weights or whatever is gonna, you're trying to be manly. No, we're just trying to be fit. We don't work the farm anymore.
Exactly.
We don't do that exercise anymore. We have to make our own, unless you want to come work a farm. I'm on 10 acres right now. But, so anyway, Theresa, tell us how people can get in touch with you if you want to know more about what you do.
Okay, so yeah, you can find me on my webpage. That's Sisterhood of Strong. I'm also on Facebook, Sisterhood of Strong, and Instagram. So those are the places.
So do you work with clients all over or just in your local area?
I do. I work with clients locally, so you can physically work out with me or take classes, and then I offer online classes and online training. So the physical online training, we usually do boot camps where you get your workout, like I posted in the group, and you would print out what you physically do, and then we go through the coaching of changing your eating habits. So
great. Well, that's great that you can go beyond local. Internet.
Yeah.
It can be used for good. So thank you so much, Theresa. I appreciate you sharing your testimony and how the road that you've been on. As I've told you before we started recording, just the diversity of the lies that women have believed. I know that as people are listening to these podcasts or watching these lives, that they're really going to resonate and go, hey, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. It is by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony that we're set free. And so I think a lot of that is just the sisterhood. I love that. Mine are called circles, sister circles. But I think that is just really, really, changing, and which is great. Helping us start to find the voice. So, anything else you want to tell our listeners before we leave?
Well, when you were talking, the one lie that I think that is a big one, and we're both working on breaking that lie, is that we have to do things alone. That if you ask for help, that's a weakness. But God created us in community. And so asking for help, your sisters, you may have a sister who's been there and can help you make strides that you just can't make by yourself. You just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So by coming into community and finding other like-minded people to learn and grow from, I think, everything is not a DIY. You're not can't do everything. And it's not.
Yeah, and we found each other in Igniters. And so that is, Barnia did a teaching just this morning on being too dependent or too independent. And we really need to be interdependent. And I recognize myself as being way too independent because of, overcompensating from, lies that I've believed. And so it's like, well, I'm going to take care of this. Well, I'm going to fix this. And it's like, well, okay, dial it back, girl. Dial it back. Let's go somewhere in between here, all or nothing, but let's come back a little bit. So again, I thank you so much. There'll be some information in the slide right after this. If you're watching by video, you can watch that on Become Truly Liberated, the Facebook page. Go into the events under Empower Hour, and you'll be able to see those live broadcasts. Theresa, thank you so much, and we will be talking to you again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight or on replay. I continue to be amazed at the bravery and resolve of the women all around the world who have come to realize that we are each responsible for our own understanding of our beliefs and how that impacts not only ourselves, but everyone around us. From religious traditions that are simply accepted to our understanding of money and it, as well as our value, and to our responsibility in really knowing what we put into our bodies. Being mindful is such a buzzword right now, but really taking the time to think about, what are my core beliefs, and do my actions really line up with them? Am I just going through the motions of existing every day? There's so much more than just getting to the next day. As always, I want to thank again our beautiful guests tonight, Patricia Allbritton, Tina Hughes, and Theresa Horne. And now we're waiting for you to share your story. You are valuable to each person who's listening now and on replay. So what lies have you believed? And how are you now walking in freedom to be all that you were created to be? Be sure to visit our sponsors. And if you're interested in supporting this ministry movement, please contact me via Facebook or LinkedIn. We have lots of levels of sponsorship available for every size business or organization. Thanks for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and share to help more women hear these empowering stories of becoming truly liberated. Good night, and may you feel God's love all around you tonight and always.
For more information about Inspiration for Life International Internet Radio Network and this podcast, please visit www.inspiration4life.org.